Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John's reports for the 7th of January. Well, we continued a little bit further south, but as we got close to that 50%, there were buyers there. And then kind of went back and forth. The continuation of weakness, though, still reading from the NBI, with magenta still fading and now white over red. Next critical phase will be when these two meet. A rejection up of magenta before crossing of white would be pretty bullish at a decent spot. A break of the 50, and of course we have that 46.13 already set there. And on the 50K, I think we already have the 0% at 62 because there's a white NBI. We'll see that one in a minute. From the YM standpoint, breaking below its 76% line. It's not doing too bad. Again, that's that rotation value, even though things are soft, not as bad. Where it's ugliest is right here on the NASDAQ, and dropped all the way to the 23%. Floated back off that, but again, here you can see clearly the white NBI over. Flattening out of the magenta, which is potentially positive from that standpoint, but if white gets above our orange line right there, I think that you'll probably see some continuation. You've already got a breakdown of the shakeout as well as NBI gold, shakeout gold in that dipping and dips below the red line, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to hold that together. There was just some buying as we got down towards the previous dip levels right here from the last two dips. Break below that, and I think you're going to see some people get a little more panic. Positive extreme all the way back down at the 15.27, which is conveniently the 0% line. Magic how that works. Gold taking another little dip on the, this wasn't much of a sell, but this is where you get that crosswind comparison comparative to what you would expect for the potential of interest rates and that. But what the market is saying is it doesn't buy it. It sees things slowing and the economy turning, and that's where you get an indication from gold saying that they don't see the inflationary pressures taking place because the Fed is going to be forced to backtrack and ease. Again, euro, we're talking about the Eurozone, it's a disaster. And there you go with oil continuing to rise. So you're going to get that problematic where you end up with failing prospects for economic conditions, and then you combine that with inflationary pressures on most prices that people use, and yeah, it's a serious problem, particularly if wage increases have to come with that. I mean, we fired a dramatic number of people throughout the country in a variety of different areas under the mandates, as well as then split that with incentives not to work because of lockdown configurations and stuff, and so there's a lot of problems out there. A little bit of easing from a bond standpoint, but it did make higher rates as it dipped to a new low, even though it came back from that. Again, that breaking down further is really going to be where people are watching, because that becomes a very strong alternative to putting money into risk assets, moving into treasuries. If you can actually get a comparative better yield than your expectation that equities are going to decline, there's no safe haven when overall prices are declining. You're losing actual equity where you can guarantee that you're not going to lose that on treasuries. Bitcoin continued its woes, recovered from it a little bit. We get down here, the low of the day, right down at 42, 375 range. And again, it's funny, I was reading an article with, buyers won't be really, big buyers won't be interested until between 38 and 40. It's coincidental that our daily projection with the 39 right in the middle of that. So wouldn't be surprised to see that take place. I think that will shock a lot of people, especially if it breaks 40. I think that's a psychological thing to get like a push through. And ETH likewise had an interesting day. I mean, it was quite an opportunity, both short and long. Very clean action. 50K, this is what I was posting on our Skype chat. Right back over here as we started the breakdown, we had the NBI white spike. No magenta spike above that, and so that calls for a move towards the 0%. Ended up getting a short signal right at that spot too. really relies on the magenta continuing its positioning lower. Still don't have any blue spike. You'd have to have a pretty big jump for that to turn around quickly. The potential of it's there though, because you've got rising gold and rising azure, so the most bullish configuration you could possibly have. The problem being is in a sell signal under the 23% does not often work out very well. Intraday, there was just a lot of action because, as you can see, we can't fit it on one screen with the entire day's action. We can't even fit it on two, so that just shows you how much it was moving. From the pre-market, pretty good size. That was almost the equivalent of some of those soft days we were seeing. And then once the market opened up, sold off pretty quick. Buyers came in, thought that was a good deal, scooped it up, and then we just traded pretty much across. And then the NBI weight started making repeated pops, and we went briefly divergent, and that sold off pretty darn quick, and then started to move lower to those lows. And again, playing right down these same algo levels that we had, 4702, 4691. Literally kind of traded almost right in between them, and then as the day got on and then broke below it, that became resistance, and then we broke down to new lows just before the close, like within 2 minutes. They just like lifted it right before the close, just to get back up to that 4691. So that's the long and the short of it. As always, I will keep updating you on the Skype chat, and anything relevant from a program update, I will let you know. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.